So oftentimes when you'll be talking, it just seems like we had a very similar background growing up as kids in the church, in a certain type of church. And there were like these 7 charts on the wall that everybody had to memorize. So James, tell us a little bit about growing up in the American church in the 60s and 70s and what eschatological position that would have entailed.
Well, I know that my dad graduated from Moody Bible Institute in the middle 1950s and was GARB, General Association of Regular Baptists. And so, we'd have the Moody Bible Institute movies for New Year's Eve and the ones with the guy doing the Tesla electricity stuff and all that kind of thing. And I do remember very clearly the first time that I saw A Thief in the Night. That was, I really wonder how many people have been permanently harmed by Thief in the Night, especially the lawnmower scene, guys mowing the lawn and then the camera swings around and now that the lawnmower is just sitting there. And, if they had CGI back then, they could have done all sorts of stuff with planes falling out of the sky and stuff like that.
It was so bad. It just, the production value
was so good. I mean, come on, that's still one of the most I think it is the most rented VHS video ever.
Oh my.
But
that's good.
But we all saw all that stuff, and I grew up with a dispensational premillennial perspective, and my dad was real firm on it, and he died really firm on it. He died last year, and in the months leading up to his death, he was still absolutely convinced that the rapture was going to happen before he died.
Mm-hmm.
And so he never went with any of my later changes in my view on that stuff. And I'm sure he was disappointed in me for having defected, I guess. But still, anyway, it was in Bible college. Well, we moved to Arizona. He had a small church for a little while out there, but that's not why we went to Arizona. And we ended up in a Southern Baptist church. And it was premillennial as well. And in fact, I do remember Grand Canyon College, where I went to college.
Yeah.
Before I went there, I knew that there was a battle going on between North Phoenix Baptist Church and the pastor there, Dr. Richard Jackson, and some of the professors at Grand Canyon, because he'd mentioned it from the pulpit. Because a lot of the kids from Grand Canyon went to North Phoenix, and North Phoenix was got up to having 20,000 members on the roll. We could never find more than 7,000 on any given Sunday, but there were 20,000 members on the roll. And so, it was the largest Southern Baptist church in Arizona, pretty much ran the Arizona Southern Baptist Convention, and Grand Canyon was an SBC school. And so there were amillennialists at Grand Canyon, and Jackson wasn't overly happy about that, and he did preach a number of sermons on the subject. So I was warned before I went to Grand Canyon that you need to be aware of these things. And I was already, to be honest with you, moving toward where I was most of my life, and that is, man, eschatology produces a lot of heat, and I don't see a whole lot of light.
Light, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in high school, I've told the story back when you had to take the California Achievement Test, fill in the little bubble things and all the rest of that stuff, before that was all discovered to be racist or something about having stolen it from indigenous peoples. I don't know what it is anymore.
I think it's the number 2 lead pencil that was the racist part.
It could be. It could be, because you did have to use the number 2 lead pencil. So I remember once I had finished, before everybody else, I was sitting there reading Hal Lindsey's late great Planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I've told the story many times because it's funny the things you remember. I posted a meme on Facebook. I almost never use Facebook. I detest Facebook, but I posted a meme that I had seen somebody else post. It said, "It's astonishing how clearly I can remember song lyrics in the 1980s while I can't figure out why I just walked into the kitchen."
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's true. And so the things you remember. I remember a lock-in, I think it was my senior year in high school, where, the kids would get together. And when you have a church that big, you've got a huge youth group, which was fun. I mean, camps and stuff like that for that church were a whole lot of fun. You could have entire football games with plenty of people on both sides and the whole 9 yards. Anyway, I remember that in this lock-in, all the lights were off. And this was 1980. And I had a tritium digital watch. I've always been a geek when it comes to that kind of stuff. And it's radioactive. I mean, tritium is literally radioactive. But it would glow constantly. Yeah. And it would glow so brightly that if you put it right against the page in I had a little New Testament with me, a Soul Winner's New Testament, of course.
Yeah.
You could read. You could actually read the text. Now, of course, that print would be so small, I couldn't read it now anyways. But
don't. Yeah.
Oh, man, it's horrible.
Man.
Anyway, I just remember it used to really bug me when old people would sit around and talk about all the stuff that's going wrong with their bodies. And now it's me. Can't see nothing anymore. Oh, wait a minute. Got to go use the restroom again. It's just.
Yeah. Never pass that opportunity up, guys.
Anyway, I remember that I was reading to them from Matthew 24 and talking about the fig tree, the parable of the fig tree. And I was informing them that Israel became a nation in 1948 and a generation is 40 years. Right. So 8 years, we've basically got 8 years. Yeah. And somebody went blowing through North Phoenix's parking lot during a service once and put that, what was it, Edgar Wisenant? Was that his name?
88 Reasons Why.
84 Reasons Why the Rapture will be in 1984 or something like that.
Then it was 88, and then he forgot to carry the 1, so it became 89. Very convenient.
And, I lost track, but every car in that parking lot had that thing stuck under the windshield wipers. Yeah. And so Jackson did a whole sermon as a result of that on that too. So again, that was just part of, I had some eschatology books. My dad bought me J. Dwight Pentecost Things to Come. That is a beast of a book. You got to admit, that looks pretty impressive. And
some of his, boy, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So,
but that's the air you breathe, right?
That was where I was raised. But once I got to Grand Canyon and I started studying under, especially Dr. D.C. Martin. Now, D.C. Martin was probably to my left in a lot of stuff. But he was just a tremendous guy. The low A in his class was a 97.
Ooh.
And,
wow.
I was, as far as we know, and we talked about this because I became his colleague later on. After I graduated from seminary, I was scholar in residence at Grand Canyon. So I taught there. And so we got to know each other on more of a equal basis. And just a tremendous Christian man. I'm not going to spend our time talking about that, but he was a tremendous influence in my life. And people who know him and who studied under him, when they listen to me, they'll go, you studied under D.C. Martin. Like, yeah, I did. I am able to hold an audience on that are not necessarily all that easy to do. And I credit a lot of that D.C. Martin. He was, if you wanted to learn from him, you could. I mean, he on almost any topic. He was something else. Anyway, he was an amillennialist. And I did not embrace amillennialism at that point in time. And in fact, I remember one class very, very clearly. He was making some comments about Matthew chapter 24, and I put my hand up and I said, Dr. Martin, what about, and I brought up something from my past, something from that I've been trained. And he literally said this in front of the entire class. He said, most of you are going to want to tune out for a little while now. James and I are going to have a conversation. We'll be right back. And then he started talking to me about the subject, which didn't really endear me necessarily to the rest of my students. But
exactly.
Anyway, I came to the conclusion somewhere in there. I think it was right after I was asked to speak at a church on Mormonism. We had started dealing with Mormonism. I got married between my freshman and sophomore years of college. So I was 19,
right.
She was 18. And so I started doing the Mormonism thing just a matter of weeks after that. I mean, that was my first meeting with Mormon missionaries, and Alpha and Omega was founded the next year, 40 years ago. This coming.
Yes. Happy anniversary.
Yes. Thank you. I found out, I was leaving, before I stayed last night, and the pastor, Derek Melton there, they're coming out for our anniversary.
Oh, that's cool.
What? What?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's, I feel guilty now. Anyway, so I was starting to do Mormonism, and a Baptist church somewhere in Phoenix asked me to come and do a presentation on Mormonism. And we're sitting in the pews before it starts, and there's something in the, the holder on the back of the pew.
Yeah. And
to be a member of that church, you had to be dispensational, premillennial, pre-tribulational.
Yep.
And I mean, it was strongly condemning anything but those perspectives. And I remember just sitting there, and I had already started to come to the conclusion, the hermeneutics and exegesis that I use in dealing with Mormons on monotheism, really basic stuff here.
Yeah.
A closed canon, Jesus as creator of all things. Basics. It's not the same hermeneutics that is being used in pretty much all the eschatological conversation I was hearing going on. And so I was already at the point of going, man, there's more heat than light and different hermeneutics. And so by the end of my Bible college career, I was a pan-millennialist. It'll all pan out in the end.
Yeah.
Okay.